Let's see here. Daylight savings. No, actually, never mind. That hasn't happened yet. GM, everyone. GM. There was this thing they were talking about doing before of just like abolishing the daylight savings switch. I don't know. That was like a conversation last year. So, like, is that a
That'd be
thing?
amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know what time
We
it
don't.
is half the time anyway. So,
Yeah, they don't do that in Asia. I don't think there's any daylight savings time in Asia.
yeah, it's already complicated
Based.
enough coordinating with everybody around the world.
Yep.
I mean, Pixelcraft probably has employees everywhere, right? I mean,
Yep.
yeah, makes your meetings interesting.
It does suck for because we do meetings at this. Usually it's this time for the Monday and Tuesday team meetings. So anyone in Pacific time has a rough time. It's like 7 a.m. I think 6 a.m. for when it's daylight savings time for them. So
Yeah.
it can be
Okay.
rough.
We had some pretty interesting things to talk about today. Yesterday's conversation around battle mechanics was kind of fun.
Yeah. I look forward to having more of those as we go through the combat and start actually testing it with you guys.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll get more people piling in here as we go on. But I guess we can kick off with some. Well, first of all, shout out to Hardcore for putting this mural board together for today. Let me just make sure I'm on the right one. Yeah. And so we have a couple people streaming as well. We have Zombie Shepherd, No Future, myself. So you can go check out those channels if you want to follow along through them. And yeah, I see we have Dr. Wagme up here as well. Good morning, sir.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
And we see Gotchi Emperor. I see your hand up. I'll get you up here in a minute. So, kicking off, actually, I have an announcement to make. I have officially been given the title of DAO Project Manager. So some people have already kind of known about this for a couple days now, but I wanted to make the official announcement and maybe throw this out there. I think just talking to Jesse also for the DAO at this point where we're at right now, I think one of the things we should be thinking about is assembling a committee and having a group of people around these projects, being able to screen for projects, look for diamonds in the rough in our community, among like many other initiatives. But I feel like that's going to be like the first building block is getting the DAO Treasury forces on the same page, or sorry, the task forces on the same page, getting all the guild members, heard, get their voices in one room. I kind of like what happened at the guild summit, but we could kind of have open lines of communication with those parties as well. And then also being able to support builders and funded projects in our community. So I'll have more coming out on that. There will be like a Notion page with everything on it in terms of like the vision, the members, any more detail as we keep developing this out. But I'm really excited to have this position. I feel honored, to be here, and I do spend a lot of time in Aavegotchi, so I feel like I have a pretty good pulse for what's going on. But moving forward, from now on, if you think you'd be interested in being part of this committee and having, contributing to project management in the DAO in any aspect, please reach out to me. Just DM me straight up and let's talk. I've been talking to the ATF DTF and I will have a meeting next week, and I'll be meeting with Jesse and a few others, and starting to gather some insights and make sure everyone's visions are aligned for this. So, I'm very excited. Yeah, this for me is exciting because it feels like um, a new phase for the DAO. I want the DAO to have more momentum. We have so many funds in our treasury locked up that aren't being utilized, but maybe it wasn't the right time to up until now. We're in a bear market. Bear markets are for building. We want to incentivize people, and we want to make sure that anybody sitting on the council, if they're contributing in a big way, they should be compensated also. So, yeah. I'm very excited. I feel the energy right now. I'm not CEO. Well, that's the other thing too, right? We're trying to break away from these like it feels weird even me saying DAO project manager, but that's what the position is. But we kind of in web 3 we want to break away from those top-down governance structures, but you still need people to manage things and move things forward. So maybe we have a committee built around this, and many voices involved in what we're doing, not just me coming up with ideas and saying this is what we're going to do. I would rather have the community being a big voice and a big part of this. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, congrats. And thanks to all the applicants. It was very, very tough decision, but yeah, we just feel like Hefe is I mean, the DTF felt like Hefe is a great candidate for this position, and we're looking forward to seeing what your leadership for this role can produce.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, with that being said, um, I guess we should move forward with our meeting today. We should get into this. It should be a good discussion today. We got some old business to cover. Well, actually, you guys should go vote on the airdrop Gotchi respec potion if you haven't already. So, if you guys don't know what that is, that was Tommy Gotchi who suggested we we've accumulated points through through aging mechanic and spear points through XP, and those spear points and aging points have been allocated for rarity farming. So tying back in with our discussion from yesterday around battle mechanics and how the meta could change, and how some gotchis could have all these points allocated to skills that aren't really beneficial to them. And so I like Tommy Gotchi's idea of airdropping one of these to every gotchi. Is it every gotchi you own? I think so. So yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's a good way to reward the community. But I'm definitely looking at what you guys think about that, because we haven't met quorum yet on this one, and I think there's only a little bit of time left on this. So, is there anything holding people back from voting on this? Are there any kind of opinions against airdropping gotchi respec potions?
I did see quite a bit of discussion in the DAO discussion channel. Kind of people, there were various points. I can't really represent all of them, but I think there were some not in favor of it. If anyone has any, if anyone wants to represent that side, this would be a great time to kind of air that out. I'm trying to look for it in the DAO discussion channel here. There were quite a few posts about it.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that voted against, but overall, I'm excited about it. I really am thankful for Tamagotchi for putting that forward. I think, in general, my thoughts were, just giving away things that are really valuable doesn't help us capture value in the ecosystem, whether through our tokenomics or not, and just giving one to everyone will really make them less valuable to have 25,000 out there. But it looks like the vault's gonna vote in favor today. That'll push us over quorum, and then we can have one per person. But those are my general thoughts. Could we leverage our leaderboards to dole them out in a more limited fashion, and then use like a crafting mechanism to capture these, the value of these, which is really clear. Everyone really wants them in a way that's sustainable versus just handing them out. But I do understand looking at it like an airdrop to Gotchi holders and trying to add value to Gotchi themselves.
So I guess it sounds like you're not against the actual idea of their, or not you specifically, but that side is not against the potions themselves, but rather the distribution. You know. Oh yeah, I gotta get Gachi Emperor up here. I forgot. Sorry. Um, but it's rather the distribution, right? That you're kind of thinking. Well, maybe we don't want to airdrop these to everybody. Maybe there's. Do you think there's a better way to get these out there? Whether there's a cost or.
Yeah, I thought a cost to mint them would make more sense. We already airdrop via our GBI or our UBI for our gotchis every day, right? By channeling. And so asking gotchi owners to use what they've channeled over some period of time to craft made a little bit more sense to me than just giving it away.
I will also say that I agree with that. The respec potion seems like a great idea. I don't think it's a bad idea to charge a little for it. I do know that there was like some pushback on that, but if we are getting UBIs, and I mean, you're only receiving this if you own a Gachi, correct? So your Gachi's getting a UBI. I don't think it's that big a deal to spend a little to respec, especially because it was part of the conversation was, do you want to allow the respec to happen more than once? Can you buy more than one potion? So if you're paying to get that change, like this is similar to us using glitter to change our channeling reset time. I think it would be a good sync if we allowed that.
Okay, yeah,
Cool.
that's interesting. Tommy Gachi, I
Cool.
see you up here. Welcome.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, guys. The one thing I didn't think about was dropping potions to gotchi owners that have gotchis that have not earned any points. So I think that was kind of an oversight in that really the potion was to kind of give gotchi owners the undo that doesn't exist currently. So it's like a reset. Like I've bought gotchis that the points are allocated differently than how I would have allocated if I owned them from summoning, and that's the kind of the main reason for the potion is to undo that. Now, outside of that, having a crafting mechanism makes complete sense. I totally agree with that. And but I just wanted to make sure that there was an airdrop to undo all the errors that have occurred over the past year and a half.
Question: would we also be airdropping to portal owners who either have an open or unopened portal? I know that they don't actually have, they haven't used points or anything, but they technically have a Gachi. So would it make sense to give them one just because they own potentially a Gachi?
Well, the answer to that is no. Only gotchi owners get a potion per gotchi because summoned or unsummoned gotchis haven't had an opportunity to earn points. Therefore, no mistakes have been made.
So, Coder Dan has some. He's asking, do we want these to be tradable? And then also, the follow up comment from Zico. Could this be possibly airdrop? Like the Genesis potions are maybe airdrop, but then subsequent ones are not. They're tradable, but there's other means of like procuring them.
Well, yeah, in the sick prop, the potions will be tradable in the bazaar, just like XP and kinship potions. So that's the expectation. Then
Yeah,
there's
sorry, I was just going to say the reason that I think it's worth discussing is if we did in the future want to introduce a potion that does this specific function, well, we already have a secondary market for them, so it would make it difficult to introduce that market later. If we said, okay, we actually want to make this potion cost, 100,000 glitter or whatever. Well, we couldn't do that because there's already potions doing that feature. So we're essentially locking. We're doing an airdrop now that's essentially going to prevent us from creating an equivalent potion in the future because it already exists.
Another thing to consider is the availability of these potions. How easy do we want them to be available in terms of even cost to acquire them? Like how often should someone be changing their? Because here's the problem: if they become if they're really cheap and really easy to acquire, what could potentially happen is when the battle mechanics like PvP actually gets rolled out, it might be a little challenging to get a grasp of what the actual meta of the game is. What especially in regards to making changes. So right now, Aavegotchi's traits don't change very much, so you get a pretty good idea of what's really overpowered in the game, what's not, what builds work really well, which ones don't. I just wonder, and I'm honestly just it's just a thought. I wonder like would that would having really frequently available respec potions negatively impact that, like make it really hard to, you know, um, well, I guess not. Maybe I don't know. What do you guys think? What? How do you think the availability of these potions will affect battle, if at all? Like when people are respecing their gotchis.
Yeah, one question to address Coder Dan. So, uh, in the game in the Gotchiverse, I see how points are allocated and stuff in Gotchiverse as a Gotchiverse mechanism. Now, if we're going to craft potions and stuff like that specifically for the Gotchiverse points, then yes, I think that's totally different than what we're talking about here with the respec potion, which is a protocol level, allocation of earned points, which exists even if the Gotchiverse didn't exist. And I just want to try to draw that picture of that distinction between protocol and Gotchiverse. So in the Gotchiverse, sure, I mean, might as well craft whatever potions you want, burn as much glitter as needed for tokenomics.
I also ask because I know Coder Dan you'd mentioned the XP points, like the points allocated to your gotchi on chain are going to be different than what's allocated in the gotchiverse when you're gearing up for battle. Are you still thinking about this? I think the ratio is 3 to 1. So every XP level you had, you'd get 3 points to allocate.
Yeah, we're still planning to do that.
So I guess if someone was to respect their gotchi, would those three, that ratio 1 to 3, would all those points be removed off chain as well, like in the gotchiverse? So you'd be essentially retooling your gotchi for PvP also.
Yeah, I think they would affect not only the on-chain ones, but also the in-game traits that are we would just listen to the event for that, and then we would update them. So it would also affect your Gotchiverse traits.
Would this be on a like a contract level or a code level? Would this be fairly manageable to actually have every time someone respecs their gotchi, I guess the whole slate gets wiped, and then for every XP level well, you wouldn't necessarily be losing your XP levels, right? You would just be getting back the
Right.
points. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's something I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's interesting. So that if there was a craftable potion, reset XP points potion that would be craftable. Essentially, it seems like it would reset your gotchi as though it's the first time it stepped into the gotchiverse with the points that it could allocate for XP level. Is that basically the idea, Dan?
Yep. Yeah. Your XP level would still be the same, but you would just have uh, a number of points that you could, distribute, allocate however you want.
And anybody
then-
else think? Oh, go ahead.
And then on chain, you would also have the points on the protocol level that you could assign.
Side note: anyone else thinking about sacking some gotchis to beef up one of their main gotchis for XP just because of this 3 to 1 mechanism? It's very
Yes.
interesting.
I've already been thinking about killing gotchis. I've written songs about it, but every time we talk about battle and how XP is going to matter more, it's like, all right, I might have to kill some gotchis.
Yeah, and also with the distinction of Gotchiverse potions opposed to protocol level potions, it seems like the Gotchiverse, could definitely have its own nomenclature and name convention for potions. I mean, might even call them something different than potions, just to address Dr. Wagme's concern about naming things the same.
What if we thought about, instead of a potion, this is weird. I don't know if this works for development, but say there's an installation that is in a common area of the gotcha you can go to, kind of like a vending machine, where you can pay a fee to go and get respect if you wanted to change those points. Instead of airdropping it so that everybody gets it, it's more of a, hey, do you need it? Walk over and use it.
It's like a respec stand or a little kiosk. You go there and kind of pay some glitter kind of thing, maybe, or
Yeah, you pay a little chemical, a little glitter. Because if I could do a poll, I don't know how to do it in Discord. I would ask, like, out of everybody that's in here, how many of you realistically will respect your gotchis if that potion was available? Like, I don't think I would really do that, because I've been putting points based on what I thought would work, and it's kind of been in line. So I wonder how big of a need this is, so that maybe airdropping isn't as important if not everybody really wants it.
Two thoughts. One, I like the booth idea or the installation idea, which could drum up a kind of a tangential economy. If gotchis have to run to your parcel to hit your installation to respect their XP points, is pretty cool, because you get NFT displays, anything to drive traffic to your parcel adds value. And then oh yeah, I forgot my second point, but I really like that idea. Oh, my second point was we would call potions elixirs if we go the elixir route. Call them elixir in the Gotchiverse to draw that distinction.
I see Yannick's. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna say, just a little stupid side note, but if maybe we should use a name that has an A in it, so we can hit up that double A that we love.
We could call it a elixir. A instead of E.
Well, if it's gonna be a kiosk, you call it the apothecary with two A's, so like apothecary.
Yes.
And another advantage of the installation is it can burn a lot of alchemica for that. I mean, because I think it'd be very valuable, and maybe there's only a limited amount, or anyway, there could be some tokenomics to.
Are we still talking about the protocol level one, or are we talking about the in-game?
In-game. We're talking in-game.
Okay.
I think, I don't know, unless we should probably close business on the potion and then move on.
Yeah.
I
So
think, my feeling would be it should be something that it's a pretty powerful item. I don't think it should be something that should really be sold. It should be like we're gonna need to have use cases for powerful items that you can find by doing dungeons and hunting. So I think this would be a good use case for an item like that, where it would actually be like randomly dropped instead of being purchasable. You could still purchase it on the secondary market, but it would also be a drop item.
I really like the idea of it being like a prize for a quest, potentially, because then you have to kind of earn it. You go out there and get it. It's not just dropped and given. It gives it more value that way.
Yeah, I think we need to, once we have more dungeons and stuff like that, we're going to find lots of use cases for items that will, or are like powerful items that should be dropped. They shouldn't be just given out for free to everyone.
okay, cool. I mean, so as far as this proposal currently out there, people are gonna vote on it however they feel, but I think it's worth our time, to maybe figure out alternate proposal, maybe where I think there is a consensus around we want the respec potions for the most part. It's about the distribution method, so that might be what we have to actually vote on, is how do we actually want these distributed out. It seems like there should be a cost associated, so
For me, the question, I would be okay with an airdrop. I just think it's a bit weird that they are tradable. Like if we're doing it because we own these gotchis and we made a mistake, we want to fix it, then there shouldn't be much need to make it a secondary market item unless we just want it to be tradable. But it could be more like a background where it's stuck to the gotchi, and if you want to use it, you can. If you don't, you would leave it with the gotchi for a future owner.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Because the thinking that's in the SIG prop was that it would be tradable in the secondary market, which generates fees and can help fund the next rarity farming event, just like the other potions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really gonna generate that much, and I feel like it adds a lot of baggage for future, like the future of the game. And we might look back and a year later be like, maybe it was kind of a mistake to do that. I feel like this could be one of those items that we could feel like it was too OP or something. So that's why I would, for this specific item, if the use case is to fix a mistake, then it seems like one should be enough per gotchi. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I guess for now, there's really no for this specifically. Just go vote on the proposal. Whichever way you feel, and then we'll look at the result, and then next week we can kind of reiterate, on the previous proposal and see what a more improved subsequent version would maybe look like, regarding just the distribution of it.
Yeah, there's also the core prop. There's available to tweak the proposal in the core prop, so we can continue. If the law passes, based on our discussion today, we could tweak the core prop.
So yeah, a little bit of an asterisk there. If you do feel that respec potions are a good idea, but you don't agree with the distribution method, maybe it might be all right just to vote on it, that you're for it, and then we can put the amendments in for the core prop as well, for sure.
Yeah, one thought is only gotchis that have earned 2 points get an airdrop or something like that. We can talk about it.
Yeah, and I also see what Lagan's been saying there. He's been saving up his points, and maybe there's a couple other people in the community who, oh, what's this? A voting session. Oh yeah, okay. So I guess one thing I want to touch on is we use this Miro board for these meetings, and we're trying to think of ways to engage people a little bit more with them. So if you actually go to this link right now, Hardcore has made a vote. You can actually go vote on this. It's kind of interesting. And rather than putting things here in the chat for this sort of thing, you can click on whichever item you want there, and you can add your vote. And so there is 4 minutes and 20 seconds left on this. If you jump in there, you can actually just vote on what you think would be, in your opinion. You could airdrop, tradable. It could be a drop item, a craft item, charge alch, charge ghost. You can just put in your. I encourage everybody to go vote. Let's try and engage with this Miro board, because I feel like it would be a great way to get our thoughts out on paper, or on this board, and yeah, just be a little bit more engaged with this, because I know sometimes things get lost in the chat. So go ahead.
How do you vote? I see like the board here, but what do you do on it?
Yeah, so if you go to that link the link I dropped there, it should take you right to the vote, which.
Yeah.
So if you click on the thing that you want to vote on, there's a plus sign, and you can add your vote, I believe.
Oh, do I have to log in? Because I'm not logged in. But I'm a visitor.
I think you should be able to do that as a visitor. There's no it shouldn't ask you for any login or anything like that. As a visitor, you should be able to vote.
Yeah, I don't see like the plus button.
Oh, weird. We'll have to look into that, but we're gonna try and set something up like this for. Oh, did I share the wrong link? Okay. Well, that's my fault, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Euro is pretty cool. It reminds me of, I mean, it's like Figma. If you're used to Figma, you're pretty much, it's a Fig Jam, pretty much.
Fig
So if you're
Jam.
used to that, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, and same goes for the main board there. The main board, you can. Oh yeah, we got a whole bunch of people now voting on it. Awesome. The main board should have some stickies. So if you have ideas related to what we're talking about, you can click on the stickies, and you can put in your comments, and so that way it's less likely to get lost in the chat. You know, if I see it up here, I'm live streaming right now. I'm on the board, so if you put something up there, I'll definitely see it. Yeah.
Should we move forward?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, let's move forward. I'm just trying to find my I messed myself up here. I'm stuck on this voting one now. I got to go back to the main one.
I can do DTF updates real fast, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's been a busy week for DTF. Obviously, we have FA who we hired. And just to clarify, so people kind of understand how things work, so the DTF has the 50,000 ghost budget. The DTF is hiring FA out of that budget. That's why there was no like SIG or core prop. We're going to do a big trial period here and try to leverage FA's talents moving forward, and also really acknowledge all the work he's done for us, like up to this point, and just being here and moderating our DAO meetings. As far as other things the DTF is up to, I'm going to share here in our chat kind of our DTF master sheet. This is just one place so you guys can see everything we funded, everything that we're still reviewing, considering funding, some examples of things that weren't funded, and then ones that we're still looking at together to consider funding. Also gives you some insight on like how much ghost we have left, and we will ideally try to have a more pretty display for this information somewhere in the future, but at least for now, you can see what's going on in the DTF here. We funded a couple projects this past week. A couple of dashboards, the GMI Artist Summit, and the Aavegotchi Farming Community Tools is funded, but we're still waiting on the multi-sig to process that. But anyways, if you have questions about anything that's on there, feel free to reach out to me. I also included the links to the applications themselves in there so you guys can know who's applying and what they're applying for. And definitely open to feedback on how we can make this a better, more transparent process.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Also, in regards to your master sheet, I was we haven't discussed this yet. We will we'll have a discussion about it, but a Notion board, kind of like what GMI has to display everything and be a public facing interface for all this stuff, is going to be definitely something that I want to work on as well.
I also want you to work on it, so I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, that's the Miro board, guys. You can go follow that link Hardcore put up there. Right now we have 2 boards you can actually play with. There's the what are your favorite combat mechanics, and so you can click on one of those stickies and you can add your comments in there. And then we also have ideas, the ideas board. So any kind of related ideas that you have, click on that. Click on those stickies and you can comment on those as well. And so we can touch on that in a little bit. I think we might have one more piece of old business here to discuss before we move on. So we have the weekly Alchemica leaderboards. That's been an idea that is being discussed right now in the DAO. And so I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on a weekly Alchemica leaderboard based on, I believe it would be incentivizing spending of Alchemica. And the idea here is kind of to have some sort of incentives to use your Alchemica aside from installations before PvP arrives. Add a competitive aspect to farming essentially. And so the recommended prize pool based on this idea is 10,000 ghosts per week for the next 8 weeks, funded by the DAO. And you would have 3 categories. There's a payout structure there. It's on the Miro board. But I kind of want to know what your opinions are. And again, there's stickies there as well. If you think there's a good distribution method for this, definitely go and provide your insights there. But what do you guys all think about having some sort of a rarity farming type event around Alchemica farming and spending Alchemica specifically?
Just a question. What would count as spends? Like I'm guessing crafting of anything in the Gotchaverse, like tiles, building installations, makers. Are we also going to include glitter being spent towards this calculation?
I can. I've been working with Mark on this, so I can give some overline of what this whole thing is. So the leaderboard is basically just Alchemica spent, and it's going to be towards installation upgrades. Is going to be most of the price pool. So the way it's going to be set up is there would be 8 weekly 10,000 ghost parcel leaderboards, and it's just going to be for uh, upgrading your installation, and then there'll be 2 monthly address leaderboards, and this is all Alchemica spent on crafting in total. And then the glitter would not be taken into account. It's kind of taken into account by a proxy, right? Because you're not going to be able to really make it onto the leaderboard unless you're using glitter to use multiple installation upgrades.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Would I'm guessing makers would be included in the correct?
Yep.
Oh, I did not hear you. It sounded like you roboted out a little.
Yeah, I don't hear him anymore.
You want to give that another shot there, Wagme, or might be having connectivity? Yeah, so he'll be back.
He's doing surgery. We're on Bluetooth.
The cell phone fell into the patient, so the reception got a little.
Just like the candy on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what does everybody else think? I don't think it's a bad. I think it could be very interesting. It would be a nice thing because people, it would incentivize people spending Alchemica, so it'd probably pump prices.
Yeah, I have kind of mixed feelings about it. It's a pretty expensive idea, right? So it's around $125,000, 100,000 ghosts, and basically, can we get our money's worth out of that by having people craft? And I'm not sure. I think it's possible. I think I like the idea of incentivizing people building and engaging like with their parcels, but I don't know how much we would get out of it. We do know that like looking at who is spending and who's crafting, that the majority of Alchemica spent and money spent is by at the top. So focusing on the top, I think, makes sense from a bang for your buck perspective. But are these people that are going to be building anyways or not? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I like the leaderboard, and I think we should definitely build out more leaderboards. But I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not this is a good idea or not. But I think we need more leaderboards, even if there's no financial incentive for them. Leaderboards are obviously a proven way to increase engagement.
And it's a tracking tool. Once you have the tool there, for example, if we had a leaderboard for certain aspects, like I'm sure we could plan some events around that in GMI. We could maybe create some NFTs as a prize. You could create some intangible things that maybe are like really cool as like bragging rights or flex, and get that competitive vibe going. I kind of agree in some sense that leaderboards are actually a really great idea. I just don't know, like with actual incentivization of Ghost, how much further that would take it the with the competitive aspect already of just having a leaderboard? Is that going to make people that much more competitive by adding the reward also? You know what I mean?
I guess
I
my
don't
other
think
question
it's
would be,
yeah.
oops, sorry.
I think it's both too much and too little as a reward. So it probably would. I don't really think it would lead to like we would need to quantify what success looks like for that amount of money spent. And I think it's probably too little to actually make a big impact, and probably also too much for if we can't define unless we could define success in a very clear way, and if we even if we could reach that, it probably isn't enough money to actually do something big. That this is my thought on it. Because yeah, they're already earning Alchemica. Like I think the design contest was pretty cool, and that's something that we'll probably do more of in the future. But this is like giving Ghost for people to spend Alchemica. I don't. They're already earning Alchemica, so I'm not sure what we're really trying to do with it.
Choina has a point there. Kind of, is this intended to replace the idea of parcel rarity farming, which is kind of this idea of the design contest is kind of like its own version of that. I think it would be cool in the future to have some sort of way to look at parcels that are considered rare, in terms of like what decorations they have on them, combined with the installations, combined with, maybe the tiles that they're using for the design, and have more of an aesthetic judgment. Would be kind of cool, actually. Or even engagement on the parcel, like time spent with events. Because with the party portal being introduced and art galleries being introduced, how cool would it be if there was a leaderboard that showed like the coolest art galleries in the Gotchiverse, the ones that get most frequented? And maybe there is a competition amongst ourselves, who can actually create the best experience, like an art gallery. It doesn't have to be an art gallery experience, but that's what we have right now. We'll get more installations down the line, but to actually create an experience to draw people into your parcel, and maybe somehow being able to track that through this party portal, you can maybe create some sort of a leaderboard. I don't know if you could, but that would be kind of cool.
And this is Mark's proposal. He wasn't able to make it today. It could be something to ask him to like come next week and help explain kind of where he's coming from, his thoughts on it. I think his vision was that this could be kind of a bridge to we're trying to get PvP and more syncs on board, and how can we have something exciting and something to help us incentivize spending versus just dumping Alchemica every week.
Well, I think the upcoming art release is going to do a lot with that. We're going to have NFT displays, the bounce gate, and I mean those will be the main ones. There's some aspects of the bounce gate we haven't really shared with you guys yet that will incentivize some Alchemica spending.
Ooh, care to share some alpha on the bounce gate? It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I'm sure it's an actual thing.
If it were one word, it would be bounce gate. Just I would say front end real estate is limited.
Oh, front end real estate is limited. Ooh.
If you think of a billboard model, you can only have one thing displaying at the same time. So who gets to how do you decide that? Obviously, we're not one billboard. We can have multiple events, but say there's 100 events. How do you get to the top?
Oh, like bar hopping.
You can have unlimited bounce gates being active, but it's more about if you want your event to be at the top, you want it to be hot and be on the front page basically.
Got it. So you'll be able to pay in some way to be a preferred bounce gate. So you can log in, you'll see which bounce gates are open. And if you want to be at the top, that's valuable. So you got to pay to be there. A brief personal aside, I do think when we talk about events like this, we should have some way to think about how we're like paying for it, right? Like in Mark's proposal, this costs $125,000. Like, how are we paying for that? And having a sustainable economy is important, and whether we're pairing things with sales or like a small, 3-piece wearable auction that would go with it to pay for it. Just generally thinking about how we're paying for these kind of projects is important.
Yeah, that's why I kind of think like, what are we actually getting with this $125,000? The out it's like it seems like it's probably trying to increase the value of Alchemica, which probably won't. That wouldn't. It's not a very sustainable thing. Kind of almost feels more like the Dino swap that we tried. Didn't really work.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to see how things are going to turn out in this next release. It's a big release. We're gonna have observers. We're gonna have these bounce gates. I think the portals as well, right? The party portals, and then the NFT displays.
The
So
party portal is the bounce gate. We
okay,
renamed it. We didn't like
okay,
that name. It was kind of a working title anyway.
I like it. Bounce gate, nice. So having all these things together is going to be an experience that people will be able to create. And this is actually a challenge that some metaverses have that I think we won't have. Because we have sessions already of activity in the Gotchiverse. Every Saturday we have drops.
Mhm.
GMI has their thing that we do. And so it's just going to open up opportunities to create more of these events. If you go to like Decentraland, they also have events, but they're not really. They're more like headline events. Like there might be a concert, or you go to the casino. It's different. Like this is gonna be more community based, and so I'm really looking forward to
Grassroots.
grassroots. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's what the Gotchiverse. I mean, we're very grassroots oriented, and I think that's the idea of the party portal is to, or the bounce gate is to allow anyone to create their event to do whatever they want in the Gotchiverse, and eventually you'll be able to drop some tokens as well. For on your own, you won't have to worry about us. You can prepare your own budget for your event, kind of like hors d'oeuvres at a party.
I also
So
had this idea, and this I haven't even put this idea out there, but for these events, it would be cool if you could spend some alchemica and build like a little like effigy or something. Like it's a cool item, and you burn like it has a cool animation. It just like burns or does something cool during these events, and you maybe have to craft it with some alchemica. Like it's a burnable decoration. And so it's something you destroy. The whole idea of it is you're creating this thing and you're just burning it like Burning Man. It's just this cool thing. Maybe it could be big too, like scale wise. Like it could be a pretty big thing you put on your parcel, but it's just for the event. And then you can do, spend a transaction, or spend some sorry, you would spend alchemica to craft it, and then you would engage it with a transaction, and then it would like burn, or like a piñata. Yeah, like a piñata would be one of those things, right? Like imagine, if we have this ability to like smash a piñata together, and
yeah,
that.
I like that. I like pinata more than what's that like globalist festival they have? Not It's not Burning Man, but wasn't like Burning Man inspired? Don't they have like a demon, like a Moloch that they burn at this thing?
Oh, like Davos? I don't know.
No,
Bilderberg group.
they don't do it there. It's like in the woods somewhere in the U.S. I forget what the name the Grove. Is it called the Grove? Yeah. I don't know if we want that vibe. I like the pinata idea a lot more than like setting something on fire. Just because, like, yeah, Bohemian Grove.
If we set something on fire, we almost have to sacrifice a gotchi.
Yeah.
That could get pretty dark quick.
Yeah. I like the pinata. I think that was brought up at a call before, and it's a really good idea. Just like as the event owner, you can basically buy an installation that people could then attack, and it would drop Alchemica on the parcel.
I think that's a very powerful mechanic because I don't know if you guys remember, there's a project called My FN Pickle, and they had a big pickle reveal and basically had 1,500 people on their website banging a jar with a spoon by hitting their space bar. And I mean, I sat there for an hour and a half doing this. It was like one of the funnest things I did in Web3 at that time. So these things will like people will love that.
Yeah. Yeah, Decentraland has like a yearly event with like a big cube, and we could potentially have one of those every day in the Gotchiverse, where you could basically buy an installation and I guess top it up with certain tokens. That's what they do with the cube. Like you can have a bunch of projects put their token in there, and then people come and they it's kind of like Minecraft. They mine the cube and it drops tokens for them. It's not something they do very often though.
With the bounce gate, do you envision adding a whitelist to it? Because I was just stuff. I could see bots wanting to jump in on that if I'm dropping a whole bunch of prizes and stuff like that. So will there be a white listing feature for the bounce gate? And then secondly, if you invite observers to your bounce gate, is there a way to control who can and cannot attend that event?
Currently, there's no whitelisting like features planned for it. If eventually, I mean, we are going to try to move away from from bots and have more controls on those. But if they it would be the issue if you have Alchemica dropping, which is why we're not releasing that feature yet, where you can like anyone can drop Alchemica. If we do eventually release that, it needs to be with like proper controls, like you mentioned. Because yeah, that would kind of ruin the party if you. It's like you have a bunch of hors d'oeuvres and then you just like open the doors and they just get flooded with people stealing everything and running away.
Yeah, it's like a flash mob of wedding crashers that come to take everything.
Bot parade. Yeah, cool. Okay. I mean, that was just a random idea, but I think there's something there, so maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more. Destroyable installations we can smash things together with our friends. I think would be really fun, and we're talking about burn mechanics and stuff, and spending Alchemica on things as a sink, so could be a potential sink there also. Um, yeah, I'll maybe start that idea in the forum, or if someone wants to start that, we can start discussing that a little bit more. Right on. So one more thing, I guess that covers the old business we have going on right now. There is a hackathon going on right now. I believe this is through Morales, if I'm not mistaken. But please hit up Hardcore about it if you're interested. Some of the prizes look pretty great. And from what I've heard, there haven't been too many people that have entered into this hackathon, and the barrier to entry is very quite low. So even if you're a junior dev, if you're just starting out, and you have a good idea, they have different prize pools regarding metaverse and gaming, cloning Web 2, developer tooling. This one this one prize pool called Doing Good, so I guess it's a sustainability based, and then a pool prize for 10 notable projects. And so it seems like a easy way to get paid and also showcase some of the things that we've already been building within Aavegotchi. So if you are a dev, you've maybe already developed something that's close to being pushed, you can hit up Hardcore. He'll give you more details on this hackathon. There's also a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of details on the Miro board itself. So definitely go check that out. Now, for new business, I guess this is more of a discussion than anything, but I thought we could continue some of the discussion we were having yesterday on combat mechanics and even some ideas for eyes and what they could potentially do. If you're up to it. Otherwise, if there is something more pertinent you want to discuss, we could do that too.
I got something I threw on the new business. Hopefully it'll be a short discussion. Is turning on spillover for 2 hours, not only on Saturday but every day, and it would kind of allow, I think it'll work well with the NFT display release, because to drive traffic to your parcels by turning on your spillover, basically having an option to have a spillover event every day. And if you know, if people don't want their spillover taken, they think it'll just be collected and dumped, they can just not, channel on during those 2 hours. But I think the 2 hour every day will give us a good indication if it's a working mechanism, and
Would,
or we could reduce it to maybe just a 1 or 2 extra days.
would it be the same time every day, or I mean, I would think random would be better.
Yeah, I actually threw out this idea on my stream a couple weeks ago. How it would spill over every day and maybe use Chainlink VRF to randomize what hour. I was only suggesting 1 hour a day, so that we could, like drive traffic randomly. That it would also make it, I guess, fair so that no one group, like if we do it at the reset, people in Europe who are asleep are not going to enjoy that, or I guess in the Middle East. So, randomizing it would definitely be cool.
Well, I was thinking that a known time so people can coordinate.
Yeah, that would
No.
be great for guilds too, because a lot of the guilds on Saturday, I know this week, I know I think WAGMI Warriors also, they do live streams of their channeling and spillover collection. So that would draw a lot of like promotional content being pushed out every day, as opposed to just like I stream every day, but I don't think anybody else is streaming their channeling. So it would add more content for us.
So I mean, it would put
Also,
a load and stress on the network too to kind of test it, is what you're saying?
well, and also along the testing idea, there we could be more sensitive to the global community and have, Saturday the same time as Wednesday, and maybe flip it for like a Tuesday, Thursday or something like that, so that people in Australia have more of an opportunity opposed to in North America. But essentially have two times for 2 hours, two separate times, and split it up. That makes sense?
Do you think the pinata thing that we're just talking about? Do you think that could potentially address this? Instead of alternating the spillover times, you would have, like for example, you would have like this 3D printer installation or like a printer, and it would print one of these smashable things a day, and you would have to spend a certain amount of alchemica to load it up. And then, well, I guess no, it doesn't really address the spillover, because that spillover gets sent over to a pool, like an allocated pool. So actually, no, it doesn't. But maybe if there was a way where those two ideas could come together, maybe there's a way for that to address that. Like if you have the ability to have this item and host the event, there would be small localized pockets of spillover based on whoever's having their events, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. If someone's tweeting out, hey, YGG Guild, hey, grab a Aavegotchi, so and so are going to channel on their partner parcel, and then everybody can show up. They do a channeling event. It's coordination, it's community, it's kind of building the Gotchi community, bringing other people from other communities in to just have some excitement. And I think that's worth more than what little Alchemica would be picked up by bots. So the benefit of a short time frame where people are coordinating and it's optional, like you don't have to channel during these times. And I think it's worth it for some bots to pick up some Alchemica.
Would
Actually, oh, I was gonna
would
say I talked with Jesse about this a couple months ago after NFT NYC, because I wanted to pitch the idea of these like Alchemica parties, but then recruit the ambassadors in, because I think the specialness of Saturday is it is a community event. So then making this a daily event where the ambassadors, like say, I would do it 7 days a week, but I'm human. So if we utilize the ambassadors that we have, then maybe daily we can have an ambassador host the amphitheater and make it a huge social event every day. So when we have observers, they can come in and watch, take part in the conversation, and then regular Gotcha gang who's around can also do that.
you could just switch it back every day too. That way everybody got the same same amount of chance to do it, you know, and that way you don't have to do a bunch of different stuff.
How about just turning it on for 2 extra days for 2 hours? So leave leave Saturday the 2 hours what it is, and then maybe on a Wednesday flip it to by 12 hours. Push it back or forward 12 hours to have that, and then maybe on Friday have it the same time as the Saturday. So just add two more days, and then we could just see if people are actually using it and coordinating in guilds or are more active, and you have got some scholars working and stuff like that. I would just like to inch forward in having a spillover mechanism so people can have fun, so we can drive more community.
Hey, it might be smart to do this Sunday nights during the gotchi, and I feel like people would choose channeling over the game. Maybe not hardcore, but others.
So a couple questions. There's a proposal that there hasn't been a proposal yet, but they are planning to make a proposal. The Governor DAO. I don't know if you guys might remember, we had a conversation with them a couple, probably 8 or 10 meetings ago, and they came on and talked about their solution. So one idea for anti-botting that wouldn't affect gotchi owners would basically just be for any scholars that want to pick up spillover or basically participate in the gotchiverse, we would just require like them to use Governor DAO's human proof of humanity, and this would potentially be a replacement for the console cartridge, or additionally, that could also be added in as well. But what we want to do is we don't want to have to force gotchi owners to do any form of KYC, but scholars, we could go a little bit more the other way on those, on that front, if the community feels that's a good way to protect against bots, because that would essentially prevent these guys from creating, spinning up 500 accounts at once and then jumping in the gotchiverse. They'd have to have 500 humans, and when that human, when their account gets banned, they wouldn't be able to rejoin with it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll say, from playing in Axie Infinity, talking to their scholars, and kind of interacting with the ones you got here, I actually don't think they would mind KYC, like some sort of a KYC kind of process, because they're coming to this to play the game and to earn the tokens. That's their main MO, right? They want to come to the game, and they want to start farming Alchemica, and then from our end, we want to teach them why they should keep that Alchemica and what the incentives are to keep that Alchemica in the game, keep spending it, and provide an educational kind of experience through their guild, to learn more about the game, and hopefully eventually, I've heard a few times now, a few scholars have actually bought their first parcel through their profits. So yeah, I think the scholars don't really care about being KYC'd anyway. So we could probably try and get some more consensus on that, but I kind of agree there.
Yeah, my feeling is also they probably wouldn't really mind it. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and then you get not a soulbound NFT, and then that we could use that NFT to allow them access to the game if they don't own a gotchi, if they're borrowing one.
Yeah,
They might
Occam's.
just have leaderboards with weekly ghosts for the scholars. Yep, that could be interesting. Or the console cartridge model kind of has also benefits for reinvesting, but maybe some sort of leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think I'm kind of glad that we're taking our time with this aspect, and there seems to be new ideas coming out between when we talked about the console cartridge and up until now. There seems to have been a few other ways Alchemica could get distributed in the Gotchiverse. So, like, we could revisit that idea, or we might come up with something better if it's a combination of KYC and event-based Alchemica drops. That could potentially minimize, those two things together could potentially minimize the botting and, allow for this relationship between owners and scholars again. Lagan's idea, I also like that of some sort of incentive to provide, to have competition, healthy competition among scholars too. Yeah, right on. Just want to give a shout out to you guys. Thanks for filling out some of these combat mechanics and these stickies. We're just kind of getting into this now, but I want to really try and make this more of an engaging experience. You guys are very engaged in the chat, but we can sort out talking points and everything else, and make this make this just like a really fun experience to be part of the DAO, and get more people in here. I want to make sure people feel like their voices are being heard, and that their opinions are actually making it to the surface, because things get lost in the chat sometimes. So just wanted to say that. Just yeah, thanks for using the board. So new business. Anybody else have anything else in regards to new business? I think it's worth at least talking about trait mechanics a little bit more. How you guys are thinking about this, in a general sense from Pixelcraft's point of view, so we can have some sort of a framework of how we should be thinking about traits. I know we're not gonna have turn-based gameplay. It's gonna be like live gameplay, which is awesome. BRS related traits sounds like they'll be playing a pretty big part in this. And Jesse brought up an interesting concept yesterday regarding involving the crowd as part of the experience, and maybe having some sort of a spectator grandstand kind of experience. Do you have like anything more to elaborate on that, in regards to like how we could have the crowd more involved with the battle, with the actual battles that are happening?
Yeah, we have a lot of ideas on how PvP especially can be implemented, and I think Aavegotchi as a game, it's we're in a very strange spot as a game and as in an industry in general. I mean, the NFT gaming industry is very new and has a lot of challenges that other games don't. I think for our game, especially Aavegotchi, we have 25,000 avatars in this game. There's 25,000 playable characters. That's not really how other games are. In other games, you join the game, you create the character. There's no limit on how many characters there are. So that's like a crazy limitation, which is very interesting, and it has a lot of room for thought. So I think any solution we go for needs to think deeply on that. So that's one challenge that we as a community should be thinking about. Because in most games they don't encourage you to share your character, like in WoW or other MMORPGs. They don't. They might ban you, or they just might not explicitly let you do it. So it's in our game we're doing the exact opposite. We're like letting we're encouraging you to share share as much as you can. So that's one thing I think, as we're going through this discussion of PvP and just in general, like what kind of game Aavegotchi is going to be, we need to be very aware of that, because we don't want to. We're not going to have like one Aavegotchi for every player that wants to play the game, unless we just say let's just mint as many Aavegotchis as we want. So that is one thing to consider. As far as combat mechanics, yeah, it will be real time, as we've already shown, we can have a pretty good experience, and that's with huge world and lots of players. So if we have small area with only a couple players, like that's a walk. That should be a walk in the park for us to do, as far as a dev team. So we'll be definitely doing having something kind of a demo for ourselves and for the community pretty soon on that. And so real time, and then we will have weapons. Different wearables will confer different benefits. We've kind of talked about that in the Gotchiverse Bible already. And then just one area I think that is a good discussion space is like how we want combat to be framed. We kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday in terms of like when you match with someone, what does it mean to match? And how do you match with them? Do you have like MMR and like the matchmaking algorithm? But even before that, is it free to battle? Is there a cost to battle? What happens if you win? What happens when you lose? These are all like questions we can think about, and we are thinking about. So I'm like yesterday, I'm just curious to see what we as a DAO want to do, and what we can innovate on. I think one area we can innovate on is actually, and I think it's almost inevitable. It's like this game is, and NFT games in general, probably they're pay to play. We can't sugarcoat that. It costs money to invest in the game and play the game. So they're kind of pay to play in a way, but they can also be play to win, and they can also be kind of pay to win. The stronger you are, the more advantage you're probably going to have in the game. But obviously, that's not like a fun experience. So it needs to be countered with more strategy, where you actually have a skill progression for the player. So there's a lot of models that we could do, but one model I've been thinking of is, what if we have like an anti model where you match with someone and you pay upfront some amount of ghost, like one ghost or whatever, or it could be one USDC if we want to do it in fiat, and then you have your battle, and in the battle, you like the ante kind of counts as a certain amount of alchemica, and those alchemica can then be used in the battle to purchase items for stuff, like power ups or like ways to damage your opponent. And so one part of the battle is you're kind of running around picking up alchemica, while the other part of it is you're trying not to get killed, and you're trying to kill your opponent. And any alchemica that you leave the battle with as a winner, you would go into your pocket. But if you don't use enough alchemica, it makes it hard for you to win. Like your opponent might use more alchemica than you, and they might kill you. So that would be yeah. I don't want to get into too much brainstorming. You guys asked about it, but that's
Yeah.
one way we're kind of thinking about it. We could do more on a hangout.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
This is what we're kind of thinking about.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I see Dr. Wagme's comment there. Is there something you want to bring forward there, sir?
Yeah, if we're up for it, a couple of questions. I'm glad Dan's on the call. You know, my proposal to end Friends went through recently, and it's really easy to vote to end something or to get rid of something, but I think it's important to think about like what a healthy path forward is. And I wanted to see first off if it's feasible to have a GBM auction held in Glitter, but also if there would be interest in the community in having like a small wearables auction. This would be a BRS modifying, so that the DAO would obviously need to vote for it. But Mikey J put together the link there, which is kind of the status of the wearables market, which really suggests that we have some capacity as an economy for commons and uncommons. But I think we still need some data on like what really is the demand. And I know that personally, I would like to see some more commons and uncommons. I think there'll be a lot of benefits to that. We're missing quite a few, specific traits in items, and things like a common pet or a common eye item or an uncommon face item could really make like the bottom or like the long tail of rarity farming a lot more interesting. We've also been, trying to think about how we can get more glitter as a DAO because we'd like to provide some, liquidity of glitter, but we need glitter somehow. So do we just buy it? And if we held an auction in glitter, this would be a way for us to accumulate some glitter, use that glitter, partner it with Ghost, and then LP it and have a more robust glitter Ghost pool. And so I just first wanted to see if it was possible, and then second, if the community thought there'd be any interest. I know that big whales really want to avoid godlike and mythical wearables. That's where that proposal came from, and this would not have those. This would be common and uncommons, and I think it could be really fun. But I want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, it's. I
Well,
mean, oh, go ahead, Tommy. Got you.
yeah, I'm just I'm just wondering if there's going to be a kind of a distinction between like ghost and glitter, for instance. And is glitter going to be a gotchiverse thing and not necessarily a protocol thing, or is glitter just another token that we can use to buy or sell or do auctions for anything? I'm just kind of curious, just from a high level perspective, if we even want to kind of bucket the tokens.
Right. I think that, as we think about what is the value of Ghost, historically it has been for us to have access to future content in the Gotchiverse. And that was really valuable, right? People wanted friends. They wanted to get more portals or more items. And, you need Ghost to get glitter. And I think, glitter could essentially be the on-chain replacement of friends in this case, with a cap on like how many tokens exist. So if there's a lot of demand for it, we can like finally see a moon token, right? I think that's what we've seen in DAO discussions is keep the curve, use our other tokens as the ones that we drive value into, and we don't need to get rid of the curve. And I think this could help us kind of experiment with that idea. Can we create demand? Can we capture the value of future Aavegotchi content in our capped tokens, and then see Ghost benefit as a result?
I'm wondering kind of the same thing as Tamagotchi, and it's an interesting idea. What do you think would be the implications on the current common wearables? With these new wearables being priced in glitter upon like purchase, how do you think there would be any sort of impact on the current common wearable value or prices? Which are currently denominated in Ghost. And also, do you think if we were to do a glitter purchase for these new wearables, does that set precedent for future wearables also being priced in glitter?
Yeah, I think for your first question, I bet we would see, people are still in their mind kind of denominate the thing in Ghost, right? So a comment is like between 10 and 20 ghosts, and we'll see 10 and 20 ghost worth of glitter used to bid. That's what I would expect to see. I think it gives us some data moving forward. Like, how do we make decisions about NFT distributions moving forward? And a small event like this would help us look at like, this is how much glitter demand there was. Like, this is how big the pool was at the time. This is like what we can expect to see from a volume perspective. Maybe the demand's not going to be there, right? And then at least it was, 3 items and small ones that were on the table. So there's less harm. From the delusional aspect, I am looking at wearables that these are true gaps in what we have currently. Like there's one common pet option, right? So like, can we fill a ton of gaps? I think there'd be a lot of interest in that, and we can capture that demand on chain and through tokenomics instead of just giving them away with friends. Is my hope.
One thing I'll add with the addition of traits in the Gotchiverse, there's definitely going to be demand for wearables to kind of maximize the traits for the people's Gotchis, and filling gaps, especially at the lower level, might give a more fun Gotchiverse play experience for the common and uncommon level wearables. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of reframing how we do wearables is important. Like instead of this like huge auction or like huge, uh, raffle where so much is given away, that it's really hard to incorporate that market data to reassess what demand was when we dropped, 4 mythicals and 200 items in a giant market cap. Having something more predictable, like regular, like what if we did, one event like this a month with 3 items in it? It's a predictable revenue, uh, and we'll be able to make better decisions than I think just dropping a giant amount on the market and then seeing what the effects are. And I
Yeah,
definitely
so
encourage you guys to look at my link with the state of the wearables market, and that was brilliant work by Mikey J. That really helps communicate where we're at from the wearables perspective, and I think it really supports the idea that we can have some more commons and uncommons, and even more strongly supports that we cannot afford more like mythicals at this point.
Do you mind dropping the link down in the chat again?
For sure. And just for context, this was done by Mikey J, who is one of my favorite people in this community, and was funded by the DTF. So it's fun to see the community put together something like this to help drive decisions moving forward.
We're gonna bring down his Heroku app again.
Almost for sure, yeah, but that's okay. We want to see demand, right? Dan, is it feasible? Can GBM accommodate something denominated in glitter?
Yeah, I think I think the GBM contracts we're working on and are pretty much ready to go for P2. I don't think they take a token parameter. Could be wrong, but that wouldn't really be too difficult to add as long as you're not like bidding in 2 different tokens. Like you want to have being able to bid in ghost or glitter. It would have to be pure glitter or pure ghost. You can't switch between the two.
I
That
also
would
think
require an oracle.
right. An event like this, I think, could like really bring community together a little bit too. We all love the GBM auctions and like looking forward to these new items. You could have, competitions to like help design them. I'm sure that Pixelcraft has a bunch in the works that are possible. I think Zybot's on the call, but I don't know. There's some risk to being stagnant as a community and like not having some kind of new fun things in wearables or GBMs. Like a lot of the things that a lot of us were attracted to this community in the first place. It'd be fun to bring those back in a predictable way that would hopefully be less damaging and capture the value versus giving it away with friends.
Yeah, I agree. That's it could be really interesting. Another potential GBM or I guess it could also be raffle that we have coming up is backgrounds. Those are going to kind of play not a huge role, but a role in the Gotchiverse. And we do have that slot that we have really underutilized for a while. So we could also do kind of background GBM auctions or raffles or half and half, some kind of a new distribution of backgrounds, which are not BRS enabled.
Love that idea.
Sorry, I missed that last bit. Did you say BRS and non-BRS backgrounds?
No,
so
they're not.
Oh.
They're not background. They're not BRS enabled.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, the backgrounds are interesting. Still kind of not sure like how these are gonna, what your guys' vision is for how these are gonna manifest in the Gotchiverse, but it would be cool if your background kind of had some sort of an effect, visual effect on your aura or some visual way to see it, in the verse. Mm-hmm.
So would you, Dr. Wagner, are you thinking there would be a sig prop for this? Because the DAO kind of did vote to put a moratorium on new wearables. So would we need like a proposal for this?
Yeah, I think so. I want to hear from the community. Like if it's not even on the table, then I don't want to put it through that. But I think the idea would be to have a proposal for a specific outline. Like these would be the 3 wearables these are the slots. This is the data we have to say that we can support it. And just kind of a really controlled way of saying, like, these are exactly what we want and what we'll be voting for. And you could even like start the hype around like, these are the designs, or we'll have a design competition as part of this proposal, and we'll fund it, as a DAO.
I was going to suggest maybe we tie this celebration potentially, like these wearables are one of these, holiday related things. Maybe it's Christmas or Thanksgiving, whatever, something that's, worldwide. But that we can tie it to and make it a fun community event so that people, common and uncommons based on that data, we wouldn't be hurt if we added more. But, if we give it a collectability, it's like, kind of think of the Santa hat almost like something cool that's limited that, people will want to own.
Right. I think I really want to do something fun for Halloween, right? We're spooky. Let's like do this. And that would be, I think, enough time, I hope, to get it together by then. And it could be a fun thing for us to rally around.
What do we?
Like imagine if you can get a Coder Dan mask, like like we're all wearing Coder Dan mask or
Cider Dan outfit.
yeah, Cider Dan outfit, like or the saddle chair. That's your outfit, walking around as a saddle chair. That would be cool. I think that, and if it's common, uncommon, we're talking really low price points, and it would be a fun little GBM. I know I love GBMs; they're always a lot of fun. And if the stakes aren't super high because we're not putting in like for spacious parcels or portals that have special numbers, because these ERC 1155, the token ID numbers wouldn't matter. So it's just more about like trying to get something that is limited and cool.
What do we think about Zbot's comment there about making these glitter purchasable wearables and aesthetic wearables? So it really would be just like this fun thing. Maybe it's around a holiday event, like Halloween, for example, or a Christmas event, and you can dress your gachi up, but it differentiates in that way that these are non-BRS wearables; they're purely aesthetic.
I think that could work because other projects like the Cool Cats do that, where they have like, hey, burn milk, and you get like a special banner or like something that's just like cool to collect, but doesn't really add any value to you in game.
I would wear it. Like if it's a cool flex, I would wear that glitter purchasable items, and then it also opens the door for community design wearables later down the line. I'd love to see some of Bin Lagan's designs make it into these collectible, like special wearables that are just purely aesthetic. So I think one of the apprehensions I have of introducing more BRS related wearables is I feel like we have a pretty good set of where. I mean, in all honesty, I gotta read Mikey J's paper there, and that might change my mind. But from the way I see it right now, I feel like we should just wait on that and wait till we actually have some feedback from how the battle is actually going, and then we can actually deploy BRS related wearables to help mitigate any sort of issues like BRS related weapon balance issues that might come about, which usually tends to happen when you're beta testing battle. There's going to be some imbalances that become obvious, and we'll have some dry powder because we'll have a need for introducing more, like you say, common and uncommon wearables to help balance out any of those kind of imbalances.
Well, I'll put a forum post up and we can get kind of broader feedback from the community, but thanks for your guys' input on it.
Yeah, thanks for the proposal.
Yeah, right on. Go ahead.
Just to kind of wrap back with turning on spillover to, just for a few hours, maybe an extra 1 or 2 days. Is there any sentiment about moving forward with that, or I shouldn't worry about it?
Could there be like an event pass? Like maybe a guild could acquire an event pass to turn on channeling for 1 to 3 hours or something for their event, depending on how long they wanted their event to go for.
Yeah, that would be something separate from what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that just like the Saturday 2 over spillover is turned on, we do the same exact thing for maybe 1 or 2 other days.
But that's
just
for
wondering.
that's for the weekly event, right? For the weekly hangout. So I mean, if we did different weekly events, I don't know, it would definitely be fun.
Yes, but what I'm talking about is 2 hours turn on spillover for an additional 1 or 2 days, and we can figure out the time.
I'm for it. I'm 100% for it because it allows us more. I don't know what that does tokenomics. I don't think it'll have a huge effect or what kind of effect it has on the team and their plans. But that those are the funnest times in the Gotchiverse because the most people are in there and everybody's just trying to snipe Alchemica. And now we're all skating on ice essentially with the physics that has been added, so it makes it even more competitive.
I'm really for whatever would bring more fun and more events into the Gotchiverse sooner. So, just doing different things like that would be very fun.
Okay, cool. I'll get that discussion started and all right, thanks guys.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing your insights and putting together that last proposal. Well put together. So, thanks for doing that. Do we we talked about combat a little bit. Go look at the eyes board. I don't know how much time you have, Coder Dan, for today. If there's anything more pertinent you want to talk about, we can. Yeah.
I think we got through pretty much the main items in the DAO forum, at least.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we haven't touched on yet, but there's some good conversation going on that you guys should check out is the conversation around the bonding curve that Moon started is a pretty interesting conversation. I just went over there and read that on MakerDAO and their DAI token. They have a whole post on it in that forum. So definitely go check that out. Have a read on it. If you have any questions on that, you can. We can discuss that at maybe the next meeting or the one after. So,
I think we should probably have. We need probably an entire hour devoted to that discussion, and we have quite a few thoughts that we're putting together on that. That they're not quite ready to share yet, so it could be next week or the week after.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
don't think the DAI is going to depeg within the next month, but you never know. But we are preparing some ideas for how we would react to that kind of situation.
Couldn't you proactively just switch it now if we did a vote?
I mean, if the community voted to do that overwhelmingly, then we would listen to the DAO. But I don't think it'd be a great time to do that right now.
Okay, because obviously it's a lot of work to do, but could it have some dire effects if something was to happen like that soon, or would that not be too bad?
Well,
What? Like the DAI pegging or the DAO voting to turn off the bonding curve?
No, if the DAI depegged, I was just wondering.
If it depegged, there's essentially two types of depeggings. There's kind of a market downturn depeg where there's just too much DAI being sold and they can't maintain their $1 peg. And then there's the other peg that is what Rune is talking about, which is actually intentionally moving the peg lower and lower from $1, and then providing like some sort of tokenomics and token rewards for LPs to get back, like provide the same value as $1.
So it'd be equalized.
I don't think it will be. I think it's speculative.
I just thought the second thing you said, it would mean like at the end they would equalize what you had in the pool to maintain the dollar by adding more tokens.
I think that's black magic. I don't think that can really work.
Yeah.
It doesn't scale.
Honestly,
It might work for $10,000, but when you have $1.6 billion, like that token's just how do you do? You can't do that. That's not how tokenomics works. So they're going to try to get other projects to put their tokens as well, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense to try and do that.
looking forward to the discussion. I guess we should have a whole kind of discussion, start to finish, and give people a really good overview of what the actual issue is, and then how we could potentially address it. So I think that's definitely probably the whole next discussion next week will be dedicated to that. If you guys are ready to share at that point, so.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna head out, friends. Thanks. Another great DAO discussion.
Yeah, thank
Very good
you.
to see. I don't think
Thanks
there
for
are
your
any
time.
big events next week. So other than that, 2 weeks from now we do have the rarity farming. So like next week should be a little bit quieter. So I guess I'll see you guys on Saturday.
Hell yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Later, friends.
Later.
Good day, bro.
Yeah.
Before we all sign off, I just want to drop a link in Aavegotchi Space tonight at 7 Eastern. So tune in. We'll talk more about what we discussed here and just everything in general. Gotchi.
Yeah, very cool. I'm gonna try and be there actually for that one too, and I'm sure it'll be a good discussion. So, yeah, see y'all later tonight, and thank y'all for hanging out with us on Sunday at Aavegotchi DAO. Peace out,
Peace.
friends.
Peace. Also, I dropped the link into the Orium header service. Check that out. It's free. You probably already heard about it, but I'm just going to keep chilling.
Right on. All right, peace out, friends. Oh yeah, shout out to my Callum there. Also check out GMI Gitcoin grant round currently going on. You can support GMI that way, and we may or may not have something for people that contribute to that. So just go check that out. Got to talk about GMI every now and then. Yeah, I totally hear you on that. So, yeah, definitely go check out the Gitcoin grants. We are the only Aavegotchi project on Gitcoin, so it's kind of cool. All right, friends, take care.